Lorenzo walked slowly along the crowded alleys of Rome. The noise of traffic, the chaos of tourists, and the voices of the city surrounded him like a constant whirlwind, amplifying the sense of emptiness he felt inside himself. Since the economic crisis had hit, his small bookstore in the heart of the city had seen a decline in sales that seemed unstoppable. Subscribe to our channel to not miss other stories of resilience and transformation like this one. The regulars were starting to disappear, and his hopes of creating a place of culture and reflection were fading. Every day, he felt further away from the dream that had driven him to open that little space in the historic streets of the city. Arriving at the bookstore, Lorenzo stared at the shelves full of books with a feeling of bitterness. The pages that once represented infinite worlds of knowledge and hope now seemed like paper, useless in the harsh, concrete reality of the crisis. She wondered how she could keep her dream alive when everything around her seemed to be disintegrating. Have you ever had a dream that seemed impossible to achieve? Tell us about it in the comments. The bills piled up, the deadlines became more and more stringent, and the bookstore's future seemed to hang by a thread. He decided to go out for some fresh air, in search of some peace. Walking aimlessly, he found himself in a small square that he had never noticed before. In the center of the square, a simple and orderly Zen garden caught his eye. Something about that place emanated a calm that contrasted profoundly with the tumult he felt inside himself. Curious, he approached and noticed an elderly man sitting on a bench, his eyes closed and a serene smile on his face. When the man opened his eyes, he met Lorenzo's gaze with a warmth that seemed to embrace him. Always seek places and moments of quiet that can help you find inner calm. "Welcome," the man said in a calm voice. "I'm Takeshi." Lorenzo hesitated for a moment, but something in Takeshi's manner reassured him. Almost without realizing it, he began to speak. He told him of his worries, of the fragility of his bookcase, of his constant fear of losing everything he had built. Takeshi listened in silence, never interrupting, his face reflecting deep understanding, as if he had already known every word Lorenzo was about to say. "The stability you seek will not be found in numbers or external success," Takeshi said. "True stability comes from accepting the present and living in the moment without fear." Those words resonated deeply within Lorenzo, like a truth that had always been there, hidden beneath the surface of his fears. In the days that followed, Lorenzo returned to the Zen garden, drawn by that calm that seemed to escape his daily life. Takeshi guided him in meditation, inviting him to observe his thoughts without judging them, to let his worries dissolve like clouds in the sky. At first, Lorenzo's mind was a storm of numbers, bills, and deadlines. But over time, he learned to let go, to allow silence to creep into his thoughts. During one of these sessions, Takeshi told a story. Try to find moments of silence and see how your perspective changes. Once upon a time, there was a man who found himself in the middle of a storm. The more he tried to resist the wind, the more the storm seemed to overwhelm him. Finally, he gave up, stopped fighting, and let the wind take him where it wanted. Lorenzo realized that his fight was not only against the economic crisis, but against his own fear of losing control. Over time, Lorenzo began to see his bookstore in a new light. Instead of focusing only on profits and sales, he decided to transform his space into a place of reflection and sharing. He always tries to transform challenges into opportunities to grow and improve. He began organizing meetings on Zen philosophy, meditation, offering the local community a refuge where people could find peace and connection. He wanted the bookstore to become not just a place to buy books, but a center for rediscovering oneself, for finding serenity in the chaos of the modern world. The initial reaction from customers was mixed. Some thought Lorenzo was losing focus on his business, while others were drawn to the new atmosphere of the bookstore. Takeshi encouraged him not to let other people's opinions get him down, to trust the process, to live in the present without worrying too much about what would happen in the future. Lorenzo discovered that when he stopped thinking only about tomorrow and focused on what he could do today, the fear began to dissolve. As the weeks passed, something extraordinary happened. The bookstore began to transform into a reference point for those seeking calm and inspiration. People of all ages came to attend the meetings, to talk about philosophy and meditation, to find a moment of peace in the midst of their hectic lives. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss other stories that can guide you on your path to personal growth. Lorenzo realized that even though sales were no longer his focus, his dream was finally coming to life, evolving into something bigger than he had imagined. One evening, as the sun was setting behind the rooftops of Rome, Takeshi told him, "True stability is not the absence of movement, but the ability to remain firm even when everything around you is moving." It doesn't matter how uncertain your financial situation is. What matters is your ability to find serenity in the present moment. Lorenzo listened to those words and felt a deep gratitude. He understood that the fragility of his situation was not a condemnation, but an opportunity to grow, to evolve, to discover a new way of living and being. As he walked through the streets of Rome, the noise of traffic and the frenzy of the city now seemed like a distant background. He felt that he was finally at peace, not because he had solved all his problems, but because he had discovered how to face them with a calm mind and an open heart. Takeshi had taught him that true strength is not found in absolute control, but in the ability to let yourself be carried by the current of life, to welcome every change with serenity and trust. Lorenzo knew that his bookstore could still face challenges, but now he felt ready. He had found a balance that no longer depended on numbers or external success, but on the awareness of living each day with gratitude and serenity. In that moment, he understood that true wealth had never been in money or material security, but in the joy of living each moment fully and authentically, accepting each change as part of an extraordinary journey. Live each day with gratitude and discover the strength to let yourself be carried away by life,